softer. The angles of these lights, right?
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. What's up, Mr. Luckoff? How you doing? Bob Donahue, what's up, buddy? Ed Ranowski, of course. Conway, wouldn't be right without you, brother. Mark, how you doing, buddy? Mike Hayer's here. Grimy Fishing. Kenny Hodgins, how are you, Kenny? Jeff Santangelo, you son of a gun. You got me good the other day. That was funny as hell. And you got me real good. That was a good one. Yeah, Jim Saban, James Hook. How are you guys? Man, good to have everybody joining in today. Woo! We're back from ICAST 2024, fresh off the planes, fresh off the tackle overload. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. Man, looking forward to it. And tonight we have a special guest from Daiwa. And speaking of new releases, we're going to talk about the brand new Tatulas that just came out. And we have Chris Martin, one of the smartest guys in the world when it comes to reels, on with us tonight. He's going to break them down, tell you what it's all about, tell you why you need to have one. And we're going to break it down like we do here at Tackle Shop Live. We're going to really get into it. Looking forward to it. Benjamin Gartell, how you doing? David Schottlemeyer, how are you, buddy? Charlie S. Carlisle, how are you doing, buddy? Good to see you, bud. James Hook, Mike Barr is here. Yeah, Matthew Weimer. Daiwa, come on, open your heart up there, Matthew. You never know. You never know. Charlie Shamball, how are you? Man, we got a great show, like I said. My name is Mike Acord. This is George Acord. Cameraman Nick is off. He was off all last week with us at ICAST, and he has to catch up on some work. So he will not be with us today, but he'll be joining us again on next week, and also possibly a cameo on Saturday with some breakdown stuff that he wants to do. So he's going to stop in here on Saturday and maybe shoot some stuff. So you might see him on Saturday. But man, I'll tell you, George, that was some trip. It was a great time. I think you said it. It was the best ICAST we had in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many years we've been going ICAST. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
That was probably the best vibe. You could feel the companies that are having a good run, and
yeah.
And they really backed the fishermen, this upcoming surging market with awesome. I mean, these guys have been working on this. I was talking to some of the companies, and they're 2 years out.
Yeah.
3 years out in some cases. And a lot of work to get to the finish line. And you could tell, Nick and I were able to go on the water and actually swim a bunch of product.
Yeah.
I have my little favorite list here.
Yeah.
We'll go over later.
Yeah. We're definitely going to get into that. We're going to break down our ICAST experience after we talk with Chris from Daiwa. We're going to break it down, what we thought, some of the stuff that's coming in, some of the hot stuff, some of the stuff we didn't really like, but we're going to bust it all down for you for sure a little later on in the show. But right now we're going to break into it. We're going to start this thing with a little thing we like to call Tackle Talk. Yeah. We are a tackle shop, and we love messing with tackle, and we love more than that, talking about tackle. And tonight we have a special guest from Daiwa. I'm going to bring him on right now and introducing Chris Martin from Daiwa. How you doing, Chris?
What's up, everybody? Doing good.
Man, it's great to have you on the show. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to sit here with us here and talk to our listeners about your products and about Daiwa and about the new reels that are coming up. But we do really appreciate it. How long have you been working with Daiwa?
Coming up on 5 years.
5 years. And what's your position there at the company?
So I actually started in customer service. Worked customer service about 4 years and kind of cut my teeth in that regard there. Learned a lot in those first 4 years. And then as of last year, I started working as Daiwa's field marketing specialist.
Ah, nice. Field marketing specialist.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind, all my years in dealings with Daiwa, I never really directly worked with you, but the last couple times we were able to discuss product, I'm sold. You got her down, buddy. I learned so much about some of the braking systems because here's the deal, and I'm going to go back in the time machine. We're going to go back to the mid '90s, and I
don't know. Were you born then?
I was just before then, but yes.
Well, we're going to go back to that time frame, and Mike and I are at a consumer show at Big Rock. Well, it was called Henry's back then. Nowadays, they call it Big Rock. But back in the day, it was started by a guy by the name of Dick Henry. Anyways, Daiwa's got a booth there. And compared to the show booth that Daiwa rolls out today, this thing looked like it was in the closet.
Sure.
We're talking the talk and we're looking at the products and we're getting the rundown. You know how it goes at these shows.
Oh yeah.
Educate the dealer. And we pick up this reel and it turns out it's made from magnesium. Mm-hmm. And it has a braking system in it called MagForce V.
Yeah.
And this guy's telling us about this reel, and I'm looking at Mike, and I'm like, this freaking thing's a piece of junk. And this guy, it doesn't weigh anything. The other reels are like,
heavy
pumping
duty,
iron.
clanky.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they got
the guy's like, no. And he explains the frame, right? He's taking the thing apart, and we were like,
Mm-hmm.
And the point of my story, Chris, is this. Back in those days, Daiwa had the tech. Daiwa had the engineering. Daiwa had the R&D. They had the design. a lot of people out in the world may not realize it. Daiwa is one of two companies that primarily two companies that build all their own products.
Correct, yeah.
They're not necessarily like putting their name on something that's coming out of a real manufacturing house. Yeah. So, but getting back to the point here, back in the mid 90s and the late 90s, they did all that part aces, but they didn't know how to tell anybody the story.
Yeah.
So you had all these phenomenal engineers that came up with like MagForce V or 5 or whatever you call it. I call it MagForce V. I'm sure the guy woke up in the middle of the night from a dead sleep like, I got it! I finally figured out how to have a magnet that acts like centrifugal braking. I did it! The problem is, being an engineer, he had no way of conveying his message to the fishermen.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, Chris, and I don't know if you agree with me or not on this, when the Tatula SV system first came out, Daiwa was like, yeah, we've been doing this forever, but guess what? Now we know how to tell you about it.
Right.
Now we know. We got guys like Chris at work here, and we got dealers like Mike and George that we've trained, and now we're advertising, and we got this big ass pro staff, and they're doing, it coincided with social media, the uprise. So now your marketing side telling the story, And Daiwa soars. I mean, going back, 15 plus years ago, Daiwa just goes nuts.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. I don't know about you, but that's my take.
No, I agree. And I do have to give credit to our pro staff and our regional sales reps, those guys that go out there and, are boots on the ground for us, educating guys like yourself and, the elite team members, they definitely have their influence as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, why do we need to have a whole nother couple of reels in the Tatula lineup? And what's going on? What's going on with that?
Yeah, no, there's quite a few Tatulas in the lineup, and I actually touched on this point during our national sales meeting earlier this year. Is it's a wide lineup, like you said, it's a mile wide as far as how many different reels we have. You've got the elite models, the pitch and flip, and the long distance. You've got the 150, the 200. You've got SVs. 70 size, 80 size reels. Each one of them, really does have a purpose. And I've kind of broken that down a little bit for our sales reps. And I can try to do that for you in a short version here. But the real reason why we came out with the new 100 and the new the new 100 and the new 150, it's just technology. We're just seeing better technology, better machining processes capable in the factories that we own that design our reels. And it's an effect that I like to call trickle down technology, right? So, the SV was originally introduced in some of the older reels like the Steez models. And, we're because machining is getting so much better, we're able to bring that trickle down technology into the Tatula lineup. And it's the same thing this year. We introduced the SV boost system, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute. In the Zillion models a couple of years ago, and that reel won the best freshwater reel at ICAST.
Yeah.
And so now we're seeing that technology, the ability to produce that same technology, the cost of it going down a little bit, so we can now introduce it into more cost-effective reels as well.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, that's really what it's all about, is getting more and more of the technology that comes out and pushing it down into the other reels, and starting it out in the higher end reels, getting it established and dropping it down into the reels, I think is a great strategy there. So let's explain this. Let's explain let's start with the 100 and break down, what the 100 is and why it is, honestly, an exceptional reel. George was down Tuesday at ICAST, and he was out on the water segment. Yep. And it was able to cast that reel. And I watched a video from up here, and it was just like, wow, effortless casting. The distance was crazy. Explain what it's about and how it's going to benefit the angler.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the SVs have been doing really well. People are enjoying, and they're kind of really starting to understand the technology, the castability. That's something that they can continue to expect. Cast control is the paramount idea behind SV, preventing backlashes. And it's not accomplished using any kind of, magic metals, motors, electronic chips, anything along those lines. It's really based on physics. Which really simplifies things in a certain aspect. But yeah, I mean, the 100 reel is the all around. It's the reel that's designed to do a little bit of everything. The SV aspect of it definitely enables anglers to approach, a little bit more finesse applications, a little bit easier. You're able to throw lighter weight lures with a lot more ease. You're able to throw non-aerodynamic lures with a lot more ease. You're able to skip jigs a lot easier. And skipping jigs is one of the things that actually I was having a really, really hard time with other reels. And when we finally got the SVs, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is a game changer for me. So the cast control aspect is definitely still paramount to the SV. It's all about backlash control and ease of use. Then we take that next step with the SV boost system. And with that boost, what's that now?
Yeah, explain that, because what the heck is boost?
So SV works. I'll try to explain it as simply as I can. The SV system works by an inductor on the spool, and I've got the old SV right here in my hand that I'll show you guys. I don't have my new one back; it's still in the crate coming back from ICAST. But I'll show you kind of the basic mechanics here and what changed from this model to the new one. So SV is number one, first and foremost, the lightweight spool. Okay, super lightweight spool, lightweight A7075 aircraft grade aluminum spool. So super lightweight and limited line capacity, not low line capacity, but limited line capacity, because the line adds weight. The other critical thing about this reel is this little guy right here. That's what we call an inductor, okay, or an induct rotor, depending on what website you go to. So on the original SV models, this inductor flies into the influence of those magnetic rings right there. Okay.
Yep.
So when you take that initial cast, that inductor flies into the influence of that magnetic braking system and stays there for the entirety of that cast, which is great. It gives you tremendous cast control. You're getting the full influence, the full braking system of that magnetic field. The problem with that is, though, it's constantly in there influencing the rotation of the spool.
Yes.
Okay? So that means whether it's the mid part of your cast or the end of your cast, you're still getting that magnetic resistance. The boost system changes that, where instead of that inductor, again, that's this part of the reel, instead of that, this part of the spool, instead of that inductor staying in the influence of that magnetic field for the entirety of that cast, it moves slightly away from those magnetic rings after it's stabilized the spool. So what happens is you take that cast, it immediately throws that inductor into the control of the magnetic field, stabilizes the spool. Once it stabilizes, that inductor moves slightly away from that magnetic field. Okay. So the idea is, and the practice is that you are still getting a little bit of that control of that magnetic field, but you're getting more freedom to allow that spool to spin on its bearings that it's resting on. So you're getting the control at the initial outset of your cast, and then you're getting the distance at the very end of the cast. And the distance is, right around 20 to 30% more distance than a standard SV.
Right. And probably along with that also comes some more accuracy with your cast.
Yeah, I mean, potentially so. Absolutely.
Particularly with lightweight stuff, because the lightweight lures are going to die off quicker. So, if you think about your fishing reel, you're sitting there getting ready to make a cast and your spool's not moving. And then you crack off a cast and your spool goes to its maximum RPMs instantly.
Yeah.
And then every foot that lure travels away from you, it's slowly losing that energy, and the spool, it's being pulled less and less and less by the lure.
Right.
So you need maximum control in the beginning. And then if you want to maximize the cast, you need minimum control in the back.
Exactly.
And if you're casting something light, it dies off even quicker.
Yeah.
So, the SV boost, what I found with it was, you guys call your cast control knob a zero adjust knob, which I think is nice. It's hard to adjust because
we need to talk about that too.
We do need to talk about that. And what I found with this reel is, when it's set up right, I don't think you can backlash the damn thing.
No, you're right. I don't think you can either.
I don't think you can.
I'm going to go out and run the camera, George, and do some close-ups of this reel, because we do have one here, Chris.
Thank you.
So
we got more than one.
Yeah, we got more than one.
We got a skid. We went skid.
Yeah, and it's like you said, when you're trying to control backlash, what causes a backlash is the line leaving the spool is moving slower than the rotation of that spool. And George, what you'll notice there as you're pulling that out, as it goes back in towards the spool, you'll kind of feel it take like this little half step and kind of stop for a second and then kind of go all the way back in. So that's like that two-stage movement. You've got that full movement in. Yeah.
Yeah, you can clearly, I mean, if you take an SV TW 103, it's not like that.
No.
Yep.
No. I mean, you can see on mine, I mean, it just goes in and then goes right back to the spool. Goes in, goes right back.
The other thing I noticed about this boost system, and I noticed it on my Zillion G, that it seems like the second that spool rotates forward, it not only does it doesn't have to totally wait for the centrifugal force to catch up. There's a cam in there that pushes that out.
Right. Yeah. No, it's quickly reactive to the rotation.
It's right away.
Yeah.
Yep. It's right away.
Yeah.
And the spool, this is now that one you're showing is the A7075. This is lighter yet, correct?
The new spool?
Yeah.
It's going to be about the same. It's going to be truly about the same. The framing on the reel changed a little bit, but the spool, as far as the weight of the spool itself, going to be very same. Yeah, similar.
Well, I would say, to keep it in simple terms, if you have trouble with backlash, come on in and cast one of these things.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You're not going to backlash it.
Yeah. Once you get the braking set properly on the MagForce system, once you kind of understand how that MagForce dial works on the palm side of that reel, I mean, truly, it's a game changer. It takes a little bit of figuring out if you haven't used a magnetically controlled. A lot of guys are still switching from centrifugal braked reels, which is a totally different animal. But once you figure out how that braking system works using that dial on the palm side of the reel, you're golden. And, to further touch on that, the zero adjuster plays a massive part in getting that brake set properly. So should we kind of talk about that right now?
I think so. I think it's important to talk about what exactly happens when you turn that knob.
Yeah. So this can be and this is coming from my experience on the customer service side of the business, is that can be a point of frustration for a lot of guys who bought the reel understanding that it had great backlash control, but didn't really understand how it all works together. And everything does work together in this reel. So the zero adjuster, which just like George showed you, is that knob on that side of the reel. On most other reels, that zero adjuster is your cast control knob. That's what it's referred to as for multiple other brands of reels. It's a cast control knob. And that cast control knob on a Daiwa reel has one job, just one. It's not there to apply direct friction and slow the rotation of the spool. We don't do that old school method of winding that lure to your rod tip and pressing the button or pressing it into free spool and dropping that bait down and cranking down on that knob until you get that nice slow descent. That methodology does not work with Daiwa reels. The reason that we switch from a traditional cast control knob to a zero adjuster is twofold. Number one, customer service side speaking again, guys like to back that knob off and they lose them all the time. And I'm sure you can attest to that, George.
If I can interject, two points of on that. If you back it off that far, you are like 15 turns past zero.
Yeah.
So if you could see the inside of this knob, the inside of this knob is a flat surface. Okay. So the axle of the spool, let me show that to you again. The spool axle makes contact with that. This is how simple this is. I mean, sometimes the best things are the simplest things.
Yeah.
So there's your spool axle. See, it's mounted. The spool's mounted to it. I call it an axle. You can call it a shaft, whatever.
Yep.
It rides in a bearing over here. And it rides in a bearing over here. But it goes through the reel and it hits your zero adjuster.
Right.
On the inside. And what your job as an angler is, you want to check this when it's new. And what we recommend, and I'm hoping Chris is.
Well, you and I already talked about this.
I think we're right. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you from casting it. I mean, I guess the best way to refer this, back this off slightly until you can feel the spool move. Now, if you can all visualize this with me, that means that axle is not touching that adjuster, that there's a space in there. And there's enough room for movement in there to get a little movement. And then slowly bring it up until that goes away.
Yeah, exactly.
This is stiff to turn because that's it. You're done with this.
Yeah.
You could put a big old drop of super glue on there if you want because this baby's done.
Yeah.
It's all mag from here on out.
Exactly. So like you said, you know, that zero adjuster is there, number one, preventing people from losing that cap. Because like you said, people back it off too far. They're looking for that freedom of that spool, and that is the way wrong thing to do with a Daiwa reel. But the second point that you touched on is how it interacts with the spool axle, as you're referring to it. And the reason that anglers don't need to tighten or necessarily loosen that, they should come preset from the factory to have about 1/100th of an inch of play left to right within the housing. And that's as much as it needs. The reason for that is because if that knob is backed off too far and that spool moves away from that magnetic braking system at all, you are losing the benefit. You are losing the thing that you bought that reel for, because that inductor is not able to get thrown into the influence of that magnetic ring system. So the zero adjuster does those two jobs great. It keeps people from backing it off and losing it and losing control of their reel. But along with that, it makes sure that you are getting the benefit of that magnetic braking system. And it's basically frictionless cast control system. So that's paramount for people to understand on the zero adjuster is when you get it from the factory, when you get it out of the box, that zero adjuster is set. The only adjustments that you'll make to account for your wind conditions, lure weights, or lack of lure weight, that's all going to be done with the mag force brake dial on the other side of the reel.
So, I mean, that's the best way to explain that. There's no better way to explain that. But let me add this, Chris, on the topic of your magnets. So, guys and gals who are watching, the magnets, if you have a magnetic reel and you take the side off and there's like 6 little dots in there that are magnets, they are always facing your spool. Whether you need them or you don't need them, they're where you set them.
Yeah.
This reel, the beauty of this system, and I'm telling you, that guy back in the 90s woke the hell up in the middle of the night. These magnets do not face the spool. They face this way, and that inductor goes into them, and then it backs out. So this is like on-demand magnetics. This is like magnets that act like centrifugal braking, but more forgiving. Right? Yeah. So you guys that have magnetic reels that are having problems with, a lack of casting performance, it's not you, it's your reel. You have magnets that are hurting you, because you've mastered your reel. You've become really good bait casters. You guys have taught yourself. You've become really good bait casters, and now you're seeing why the high-performance guys in the world of bait casting either use this or centrifugal, because they don't want constant static, same amount of braking. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work.
No.
So to kind of touch on that magnetic thing, I don't think a lot of people who are not familiar with Daiwa and people who do not understand SV, and all these crazy terms that have been coined to try to explain this technology, which, by the way, you're the only person in the industry that has ever I don't even think half the people that work at these places understand how this stuff works. You flat out nailed it.
Thank you. I mean, the way that I like to, try to get people to understand it, break it down to just the most basic understanding. And like I said before, it's not magic metals. It's not, a motor or a microchip, anything like that. It's physics. And what I meant by that is, when it comes to cast control, the braking system is just part of it. The MagForce Z system that you're talking about is only part of it. What makes SV is that super lightweight spool. And the way for people to kind of understand that is, think about it like this. A spool with a heavy spool is going to roll as much as the energy imparted on it. So the metaphor that I like to use is a basketball versus a beach ball. If you roll a basketball down the street and you roll a beach ball, which one is going to go farther? Obviously the basketball, right? Because it has more mass to it. That same physics happens inside of your reel. And so if you take that cast and that line is leaving that reel and slowing down, but that spool still has that mass to it to want to continue to spin, that causes your backlash. So when guys pick up a reel in a tackle shop and they grab the reel and they throw that handle, throw it in free spool, they look to see for how long that spool spins, thinking that that's going to give them, super awesome free spool, really good castability, long distance.
Yeah.
But in fact, the opposite is true. If you find a reel that has a super lightweight spool, I mean, it spins, smoothly. But if it slows down relatively quickly in coordination with that magnetic braking system, that's where you get the ultimate in control.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your setup at the ICAST on the water, for this reel, it had me shaking my head a little bit. You guys put it on a 7.6 heavy Ish Monroe flipping rod with like a 3/8 ounce weight, and I'm like, what? I almost re-rigged all your rods for you, by the way.
You could have.
Like, I have to have stuff matched up right. So I was like quivering at the rod rack, and I was like looking to see if anybody was watching. I was going to get my knife out and start re-rigging rods. And
I promise that will be fixed next year. I'll be taking care of all that.
That said, and I don't know if you were standing there when I was casting that thing, but that little yellow practice plug, that pond's pretty wide. Yeah. I damn near hit the other bank with a freaking 7.5 foot Ish Monroe heavy flipping stick
and a 3/8 ounce weight
and a 100 series SV. Now, if we could, Chris, I know we don't want to eat up your whole night here, but I would like to touch on the fact, and I'm getting at something here. I would like to touch on the fact that with this new version, so basically you took the 103, which kind of put this whole SV thing in motion.
Mm-hmm.
Then you took the compact, which came out much later than the 103.
Yeah.
And you took those two reels, and they are now the 100.
Essentially, yeah. And then you also throw in parts of the Zillion, too.
Okay. Thank you for saying that, because you have the Hyperdrive design.
Exactly.
So what I'm trying to say here, without trying to say it in so many words, is we're very, very close to the Zillion G. Now, if I might be right or I might be wrong about this, I think the Zillion G spool is still a little bit lighter.
Well, the Zillion G spool, yeah, technically it is a little bit lighter. It uses a different spool design. The Zillion G has what the technology has been around for a long time, and the coined phrase for it is free floating spool, and that technology has been around for a while, and it really kind of hasn't been highlighted in Daiwa reels as a major feature. But it really is something that I believe, because I fish reels that are free floaters, and I seek out reels in our category that do have a free floating spool for a couple of reasons. But really it's how they interact with the braking system and how they interact with friction of the lack of that spool shaft that makes them different. And that's what brings that Zillion model up above the Tatula series. It's just the next thing up above the Tatula series, and that won't change. The Zillion models have their reputation for that premium performance, and they'll maintain that. The SV models, they do not have that free floating spool feature. Costs a little bit more money to manufacture, and so that's why we can't get the Tatula down to or up to that price point, or down, whatever I'm trying to say. You guys get
right.
it.
Yeah.
We get it.
But what the Tatula has from the new Tatula SV 100 has from the Zillion is, like you said, the Hyperdrive system. And it doesn't have the whole Hyperdrive system. Zillion has the whole Hyperdrive system, all 4 components. The Tatula model has 3 out of the 4, which is plenty more than enough at that price point.
Sure.
If you'd like, I can I've got time. I can break them down for you.
Yeah, well, we would love to have you explain at least the gearing.
Okay, so sorry, I've been doing a lot of talking today. The gearing, yeah, that's exactly the thing that I would love to highlight is the gearing design on these is truly impeccable, something that I haven't felt in a reel. And I've been fishing out here in California on the West Coast since I can remember. I started picking up a bait caster when I was in my early teens. And when I got my first Tatula or Zillion that had this Hyperdrive system, I'm not kidding. When I took that first cast and went to engage, I still thought that I was in free spool. It is truly that smooth. I had to look down at my reel to make sure that my drag was set and I was actually bringing line in. And what makes that level of smoothness possible is exactly what you're hitting on, the Hyperdrive gearing. It doesn't have to do with bearings at all. It has to do 100% with the way the gear teeth are cut. So the gear teeth are cut, the actual tooth divot is a little bit deeper than most other gearing. And the very top point of that gear is actually a flat gear point or flat tooth. What that allows us to do, and it's digitally cut. I mean, it's the Tough Digi gear. What that allows us to do is actually achieve 3 points of contact between the pinion gear and the drive gear. Most other reels, only 2 points of contact. So with those 3 points, those gear teeth are constantly touching each other at any point during the rotation.
There's no slack in there.
Yeah, exactly. There's no slack. So number one, you're getting that constant contact which removes any kind of vibration from the gear teeth. And you're getting better gear meshing, but the point that I like to make about that is, yeah, okay, it's great. You're making 3 points of contact, buttery smooth, cool. But there's also the factor that when you're fighting fish or when you're throwing baits that have a lot of drag and as they're coming through the water, chatter baits, spinner baits, any kind of those baits that have, that require a lot of winding power, those situations put pressure against those gears. And if you're talking about a reel that only maintains 2 points of contact, that's a lot of pressure on a very small area. So with that, those gear teeth get rough quickly, especially at those high gear ratios, that 7.1 to 1 and 8.1 to 1 gear ratios that are notorious for getting rough quickly. They do with that 2 point contact system. Change it over to the 3 point contact system where those gear teeth are, again, constantly in contact with each other. 3 points of contact, spreading that load out. You get an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio reel that rotates just as smoothly a year later as it did when you first pulled it out of that box. And I find that to be a critical component, even in the lower gear ratios. I fish out here on the West Coast. I'm fishing for saltwater bass, a type of bass called a spotted bay bass. These guys are 110% bottom oriented. So you need to get that bait on the bottom and keep it there and be able to feel just the slightest tick at your line. That smoothness that you get from these reels allows just the vibration from your rod to transfer to your hand, nothing else.
Yeah. I noticed with that gearing on the Zillion G, which is the first place that I was exposed to the Hyperdrive, that's been out a couple years now. And, we were lucky enough, our rep was sampled us a few reels, and we've been putting them through the paces. We've been throwing mostly moving baits on them, so they've been like cranking.
Yeah.
It's been primarily a winding reel, very little slackline fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been, it's been getting used.
Yeah.
And I'll bring it in the shop here and lay it on the counter and let people try it out. It's literally, other than a little bit of boat rash, it's literally a new reel.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what, 2 years?
Zillion? No, yeah, at least. Yeah. 2 years.
Yeah. And I don't want to brag, but I catch a lot of fish, and that thing's seen some fish come over the side of the boat. I'm just saying.
There we go.
There it is. Yeah, I know. That's exactly what we intended for that design to do is, maintain that smoothness. I can't tell you how many guys when I was on the customer service team would call in and say, I got this 8.1 to 1 reel. It'd be a base model reel, and we tell them, yeah, that's what 8.1 to 1 reels do. They get rough quickly.
Coffee grinders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing for the guys that throw a power gear ratio. Our previous generation 150 right now was the only one that came in that 5.1 to 1 power gear ratio. And guys love that for deep cranking. It'll get those baits down 20, 25 feet, no problem. Mm-hmm. But because it only has that 2-point contact system between the gears on that model, we would get calls in saying, "Hey man, this it's been a year or so, and I'm going to send it in for service already, but it's rough. What am I doing wrong?" And it's just like, "Look, man, no, you're putting a lot of pressure on those gears. Hyperdrive is going to fix all that."
So jumping into that 150, what's changed on the new one?
Yeah. Well, so nothing's, it's a new reel. So we never had a 150 SV. We've had the 150 out for a while now, and it's a standard casting spool. It's an aluminum, waffle cut spool and all that. And it's what I call the utility player. It does a little bit of everything. There's one job that it does really well, in my opinion. And again, that is that power gear ratio. It's the only one in our lineup that has that 5.1 to 1 gear ratio. And that's where it really shines for deep cranking and things like that. But the new 150 SV is totally new. It's the first 150 with an SV spool. That's what sets it apart. And, guys, would kind of scratch their head and go, why do I need a 150 size reel with SV? I'm already throwing bigger lures. I'm not looking for cast control because the size and the weight of the lures that I'm throwing are carrying that line for me. I don't necessarily need that much cast control because I'm throwing already a half ounce. That half ounce weight carries that line off of the spool just fine. I'm not having issues with backlash.
Yeah.
But you talk to other guys that fish frogs a lot. Talk to other guys that throw big buzz baits, things along that nature that get a lot of air resistance, things that are non-aerodynamic, or situations where you are throwing bigger baits and you need really good accuracy. If you're trying to fish pockets or you're trying to skip under docks, things of that nature where you want to fish heavy braid, you want to throw bigger lures, non-aerodynamic lures, and still maintain that cast control ability and the power aspect. And that's where the 150 comes into play. I heard Ish Monroe at our booth giving a great example of it, fishing frogs. And I couldn't agree more. It's going to be a great frog reel because it has the capacity that you need, that 150 capacity to put on, 50, 65 pound braid.
Yeah.
And the castability aspect to throw those frogs, which, I mean, let's face it, they're not the heaviest bait in the world.
Right.
And with those legs on them, they're, pretty non-aerodynamic.
Yeah.
A lot of times accuracy can be a big factor in those. You're trying to get it in between lanes of lily pads, or precisely place it up against a dock piling or something along those lines where you need that accuracy.
Or skip it.
100%. Absolutely.
That's one of the deadliest techniques with frogs. It's overlooked by many, is fishing them as a topwater in areas where you can't put a topwater.
Right.
Shade overhangs, boat docks, skipping, precision skipping, not just like I'm going to kind of skip it in that direction.
Yeah,
right. It gets there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're getting the SV aspect of it. No, it's not the SV boost that we talked about in the 100. It's standard SV. Mm-hmm. And again, that's so you can get the maximum of the cast controllability. We're talking about with the 150 throwing bigger lures that already have some weight to them to carry it. Okay. But you are going to get that constant influence of that braking system, which is going to prevent those backlashes from happening, and which is absolutely critical for skipping. The other major change to the 150 or feature of the new 150 SV is the Hyperdrive system, which we just talked about.
So this is the 150, and here's the 100 for a side-by-side width of spool comparison and overall size. The other thing about this, Chris, that's pretty impressive. The SV 103 was $209.99.
Yeah.
The new 100 with all this greatness that we've been, having this big festival about is only $219.99.
Right.
A $10 bump.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it just goes to show, how. Go ahead.
150, 100. There you go.
Yeah. And it just goes to show, how much, our technology is advancing, and not only in the reels, but also our production.
Right. And we're, our shop's unique. Chris, you ever get out this way, you have to stop in and see us.
I need to. I want
to. You do. Our shop's unique. We really get handsy, touchy, feely. We try to get down to like the truth. Like this show is awesome representation of what every day in SFT is like.
I love it.
Every customer that buys a bait caster that doesn't know what they're doing goes outside and leaves after a lesson, because if they go home and they backlash the hell out of it and it ends up in the closet, you're never going to see that guy again.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they go out and they fish with it and they catch fish and they do great and they love it, you're going to see him for every rod and reel he buys from that day on.
That's it.
And that's just, we don't want somebody to buy a reel and then have a miserable freaking experience with it. So it takes us 10 minutes. We break it down. We break down the cast control system. This show, guys, for those of you who are watching, whether you're buying a reel or not, just the knowledge that you got here tonight about bait casting is legit. This guy's on point right here. This is Chris Martin from Daiwa, for those of you who just joined us.
Yeah.
And we cornered him at ICAST and pressured him into coming on the show. No, that's not true. He was 100% willing with his time, and this guy is like talking fishing reels and rods all day long. So to ask him to do this at night, in the evening, So, anyways, we really appreciate
that. It's a dream come true for me, George. Truly.
Oh yeah, you're living the dream, baby.
It is absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Chris,
that's the way we look at
it. In putting this topic to bed, is there any last? And it doesn't have to necessarily be related to this reel. Is there any last
tidbits that
Yeah,
we need to know
anything you want to like drop the hammer on.
You know, I wish that there was something that I had a big reveal for. But you know, we just had ICAST. We had a great show over there. I just, you know, I really encourage, you know, any of your viewers, if you're in the market or not, just pick up one of these SVs in store. If you get the chance to demo it with the guys that over there, please do. Just test it out, see how you feel. You'll immediately feel the difference compared to pretty much any other brand. And they're phenomenal reels. Check out the T-Wing line guide system. Check out the smoothness of the Hyperdrive system. It really is a game changer. And you know, the only reason we come out here to try to promote you know, this reel is for you guys, is to help you guys make better use of your time on the water, eliminate your frustrations, and help you have better success.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, none of this happened.
Yeah.
Daiwa was a bunch of engineers that were like, yes, we build great reel.
Yeah.
But we don't know how to tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
Now we got guys like Chris, the whole marketing team there. I mean, the whole team at Daiwa.
Great.
And, you know, it's good stuff. So come on by, check it out. We'll put them in your hands. You can take them out. We got some samples coming in pretty directly here. We're going to go out and we're going to spool them up. We're going to do some casting.
Mm-hmm.
You can grab a rod and one of these reels and go outside and try to blow it up. You know, and if you do, guess what? Yeah, we'll put a new line on it and you can try it again. But we're probably going to say some things about you first.
Yeah,
so
well,
anyways,
I mean,
Chris,
yeah, I'll leave it at that. You know, there's plenty more information on the Daiwa website, daiwa.us. You guys can see our new product showcase there and navigate to all the new products there. If anybody wants to reach out to me directly, I've got a public Instagram. It's just Fish Martin on Instagram. I gladly accept DMs from people who have questions all the time. I live to talk fishing tackle and I live to fish as well. So feel free to reach out or just give a call to these guys. They know exactly what they're talking about.
that's what I'm talking about. Live to talk fishing.
Live
to fish.
That's what we do. We live to talk tackle.
That's it.
Awesome.
We love it.
Awesome.
All right,
thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, man. We appreciate you stopping by and very, very informative. And I know our listeners got a ton of information from it. So thank you so much. And we will talk to you again, I'm sure, sometime in the near future.
Absolutely.
My pleasure, guys. Sounds good.
Yep. All right. Chris Martin, everybody. Thank you very much, Chris. Once again, that is awesome. And appreciate you very much on that. But man, the information breaking down the different casting mechanisms to, you know, and why this 100 is going to be what it's all about, and why it's going to be one of the hottest selling reels going is because of the castability and the value you're getting for the money. Like George said, the reel's only $219 and you're getting all that technology to make awesome casts, accurate casts, throw some light lures with it very easily, with the ease of setup, which is what I really like about the SV system is the ease of setup with the casting, only having to mess with the magnets, real simple to set up. And then the new SV 150, for all of us frog junkies here, what a reel that's going to be for us to be able to throw all of our frogs a long way and to be able to control them without any kind of backlashing problems at all. The SV 150, both of those reels are available right now on our website at sfttackle.com. They're up and running. They're in the house. We got quite a few of them here. But like George said, if you're in the area locally, come on in. We'll show you the reels. We'll get them in your hand. You'll see the feel of them and what they're all about. The Daiwa Tatula SV TW 100 and the Daiwa Tatula SV 150, brand new for the 2024-2025 season.
Awesome.
Ready to roll. All right.
Good stuff.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, while we're on tackle, George, and since this is our tackle talk section,
yes,
What else have we got to talk about?
Oh, we got stuff.
We got stuff.
We do.
We love that.
So, the last, I would say 6 or 8 months, we have been following a brand of swim bait that has been making a lot of noise on the tours. And, we've been in contact with them. Well, now we're a clutch dealer. And we're very proud to be a clutch dealer. And we're going to show you a couple of their baits. They pretty much got like 2 like primary, very, very important baits in the swim bait arena. And you have, here they basically are. So you have the OG Glide, okay? And you have the Darter. And you can see the profile differences. So the OG Glide is 7 3/4 inches. And I'm assuming that's from here to here. Okay. 3 ounces. The Darter is 7 1/4, 2 ounces. And we've seen these baits. If you're as much of a tour junkie as we are, you've seen this guy right here get some heavy usage on the Elite Series. But these baits have a reputation long before that for excellent quality swim baits. And we just wanted to point out that we are now a clutch dealer. They're currently not on our website just due to some scheduling. They will be up and running in a couple of weeks. There's just a bunch of products in queue ahead of them right now. And you can call us here at the shop. You can stop by. We have a decent selection. Okay, bunch of colors, bunch of quantity. So we're happy to announce that for all you swim baiters out there in the world who have been following our growth in the swim bait market. More to come too. We have quite a lot coming in the swim bait arena. Quite a lot of interesting products coming in. So we wanted to put that on to Tackle Talk because we're pretty excited about it. We love quality baits. We love baits that are proven. We love baits that are, coming from this, like this passionate builder of, him and his team are they're into what they do, and it shows. So clutch swim baits now available at Susquehanna Fishing Tackle. So we're going to talk about a couple hooks too, Mike. I like talking about hooks. So we briefly brought this hook to you a year or so ago, but as luck would have it, the availability on it was terrible. And now we've been getting some play on it. We've been getting some questions about it. It's almost like a custom hook. It's called the Owner Haymaker. And look at the point and look at the relationship to the eye of the hook. And you'll notice that point is like tweaked at an upward angle. As a matter of fact, the gap of this hook puts the neck well inside that whole point region. So this is what I call a flipping wide gap. This is an instant hook set, flipping wide gap. It's got that silky gray coating on it. It's got that really strong wire. This is a 4.0 for size reference. Probably your most useful size in the flipping world, I would say. Sweet beavers and brush hogs and crawl style baits and, all the flipping baits that you love. So Owner Haymaker, $6.49 a pack. Okay. They're a quality premium hook and they're worth the money. The big thing is that relationship between that point and that eye of that hook. It's an up point. It's kind of like we talk about on some of our hooks, how we'll open up the point and offset it a little. It's kind of like that. Okay, and then I have another hook for you, and this hook came to my mind. What should I talk about tonight? Because there is a big worm bite going on in many parts of the country right now. We're selling, 9 and 10 and 12-inch worms like they're going out of style. I mean, that's just big worm palooza. And, one of the best big worm hooks out there is a round bend offset. Okay. So we're going to feature the new Nano Alpha. And we touched on this hook before, but we're going to feature it now because, we're filling a lot of big worm orders and they're buying this hook. Plus, we really like this hook for worm fishing. Whether you're dragging a Carolina rig or, just typical Texas rig stuff. This is your Nano Alpha, super slippery, very rust resistant. This is a 4/0, 5 in a pack for $4.49. Not a bad price point. When you consider the quality of this hook. And that round bend gives you more gap. So if you look at a round bend hook, the distance between the point and the shank is greater than on a sprout bend. So that bigger, thicker worm isn't going to ball up back here and cause you missed fish. Those 10-inch worms, they got some material. So that, we wanted to talk about that because we like that. Now, we have a new Megabass color in their Respect series. And it's called Aurora Reaction. And Mike and I, we don't normally do this, but we purchased some. This is your 110 plus 1. This is your 110. So you have that chartreuse back, and then you have that sheen that's almost like a oil slick on that clear see-through body. Orange belly. Okay, that's your 110, 110 plus 1. We also have it in a Vision 95. It's a little smaller, 95 millimeter. Little like in between the junior 110 and the 110. And that's your color, Aurora. These are, you can phone in, you can stop in. We don't bother putting them on the website because, they sell out quickly. And when they're gone, they gone. They gone. And then last but not least, there's a lot of grass floating out there. There's a lot of grass. We're at peak summer grass levels. And we talked about this briefly before, but this baby's getting some play for us. And it's called the Snag Proof Zoo Pop. So think Pop R and frog. Right? There's no hook in this tail. Pop R meets frog. There's your bone color right there. $8.99. Skip it in the shade. Skip it on a dock. Work it through some areas where you have a bunch of floating grass that's annoying, where you can't work your regular Pop R. And then last but not least, one of the coolest things I brought home from ICAST is my Rapala Stanley And I understand these Stanley mugs got a little crazy. I guess the kids got a hold of them and turned them into a thing. Well, I got one now too. But I needed to get mine personalized. So I had a couple of my show buddies sign her up for me. Yeah, that's right. I'm flexing over here, putting some humble brag on you. Got me a little Jacob Wheeler and a little Dustin Cannell action on that bad boy. Oh, yeah. You never know. That might end up being a giveaway sometime. You never know. It could happen. And that, as they say, is tackle talk for another week.
What do you think about what was your like top picks for ICAST? I mean, that show, is where the manufacturers come in, they debut all of their latest goods for the the upcoming season, the latter part of the 2024 season into the 2025 season. What was your outtakes from the overall outtakes from the show, and if there was anything that you saw that was pretty cool?
Yeah, so we're this show's theme, every show has a theme. This show's theme was our friend and our guest Chris Martin from Daiwa. But the underlying theme is it's an ICAST rerun. I mean, we went to ICAST. We went out there. We were there for a week. We did ICAST. We're going to bring it back to you, people. We're bringing it back to you, okay? Now, Mike, I was in meetings every day, all day, every day, from morning until night, nonstop, meeting to meeting to meeting. I saw it all. I met them all. I saw it all. And so I'm going to leave you with some quick thoughts. A, they have a thing called New Product Showcase. Now, pay attention to what I'm saying here, because this you're going to find hard to believe. You go in there as a buyer or as media. Manufacturers are not allowed in. No manufacturers. You got to be a buyer or you got to be media. And some other people get in, But you can vote on every category. Best freshwater rod, best freshwater reel. You get the point. And there's marine, there's kayak, there's all kinds of trolling motors, everything. Graphs, whatever category you can imagine, it's there. And I love it. I'm into the vote, and they got a couple of free bars set up, and
they got the spread going out.
I meet up with my show buddies from Tackle Direct, the boys at Tackle Direct. We get together, we go through. Got my people with me, cameraman Nick, GDP. Mike couldn't make it this year. Well, guess what? Mike didn't miss anything. New Product Showcase sucked. It was like some kind of European frickin' takeover. There was rod and reel companies there. I'm like, who in the hell is this? And what are you doing at my party? I was like looking for the bouncer. Get out of here. Okay. So they didn't get no votes.
Yeah.
I filled out about 1/4 of my card. And I'm like, you know what? I got other things I can do while I'm in Orlando. So here's what I got for you guys. I'm going to give you my quick 5. And I think this is fun. All right. No particular order. I had an awesome meeting and visit at the Strike King booth. I met the man responsible for painting the baits and designing them.
Yeah.
The hard baits.
Yeah.
This gentleman was like a wealth of knowledge. I learned more from him than I learned from a lot of people in a lot of years. And I've been doing this for a minute.
About colors.
Colors. And how the pros convey to him what they want. Like, he used chartreuse with a black back as an example. And his chartreuse blackback looks more like a pale yellow blackback. He calls it school bus. He said that's what most of my pros want.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
they have another crankbait coming out. Shocking as that may be, Mike. I mean, I know you're probably not going to believe me. I'm
amazing.
just saying.
It's amazing.
But 2 years ago they brought out the chick magnet, and we legitimately slayed fish on the chick magnet.
Killed them.
I mean, we slayed
Love
fish
that
on
bait.
the chick magnet. We have a whole box of them.
Yeah.
And we knocked the hell out of them on them. Well, they got another flat bait called the Hardliner. I think it's technically called the Hardliner 57. Some of the data's not quite ready for some of this stuff. The show's ahead of its time. The show is too early. The show's at the wrong time. If I was running the show, it would be in a couple months. The manufacturers aren't ready in a lot of cases. The products aren't ready in a lot of cases. But this crankbait is a really thin flat side. And what this man taught me about swimming crankbaits, let's just put it this way. One of his best friends is Dave Fritz. You know what I'm saying about Uncle David? Now, come on. So that's number one, the Hardliner 57. And I'm bringing a freaking ton of them into the shop here. That's how much I'm on this. The Strike King Fluoro Underspin.
That was pretty cool.
So when
I like that.
When KVD was here in January, he showed us this as he was leaving. And it got a little ahead of the curve. They had it on a show. They weren't supposed to do that, but him and Zona were like whacking them and stacking them. So your arm for your underspin is stiffer fluorocarbon, and it's bad to the bone. Okay, that head got 5-star review. Now, I did manage to borrow this sample. This is the BKK Armor Point. BKK is doing a series of hooks called Armor Point, which is a silky gray finish. Check this out. Mike, can you bring the camera in? This is one of the coolest things I saw down there. You ready? That, my friends, is a tungsten weight with a fluorocarbon keeper on a wide gap hook. Or as I like to say, that's freaking badass. Comes in 1.0 to 5.0. Comes in multiple weights. I mean, it's bad to the bone. And guess what? We'll have them. Tungsten weight. Imagine rigging up a Senko that you wanted a 1/16 of an ounce in or an 1/8 of an ounce in. And I was talking to Magnus, and he said that they have a picture of this bait in the bass's mouth, the hook in the bass's mouth, and the bait is tore off of the sinker. He said he caught 6 fish on that Senko and then had to pull the sinker out of the worm to get the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, which is...
I'll tell you what, I've been rigging this crawl a lot.
It holds on there pretty good.
I mean, I damn near ripped the claw off.
Yeah.
Very impressed with the BKK Armor Point, particularly this one with the tungsten weight. Next up on my list, and yeah, I made notes, okay? So I'm prepared. Next up on my list is bullshad.
Oh, man.
Now, we sell the bullshad customs, the resin baits, but bullshad has partnered with GSM to bring a line of plastic bullshads. Think Spro Chad Shed.
Mhm.
But it's from the big old trick darter, whatever they call it, to all the different sizes, the 6-inch, the 5-inch, the 3-inch, the weedless plastic one.
Yeah.
All kinds of colors, a lot. And guess what? They're all coming here.
Yeah.
Because they are bad to the bone.
They are.
We met with the Bullshad people. We had a fantastic meeting.
Had a great conversation with Mike Bucca.
Mike Bucca.
I mean, he's a cool dude. And the lady that does all of the painting.
That'd be Jen.
And Jen, she broke down the whole entire process. And Mike Bucca, you know, legendary in swim bait building. Great guy to talk to. I couldn't pull away from him. Just a really cool dude.
Get ready. Start saving your spare change. All right. I got 2 more for you, and then I have what's quite possibly the greatest ever promotional event pulled off at any ICAST in the history of the world. Z-Man. So if you remember Mulletron LT, and I realize a lot of you bass anglers didn't get down with that because it said Mulletron. Well, wait till you see Shadtron.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Which, by the way, smallmouth seem to eat the Mulletron pretty good. I'm just putting that out there. But I digress. The Shadtron 4.5 and 6-inch, I ran that one in the water, Mike. I'm sure Nick put some video up.
You did.
Bad to the bone.
Yeah, that's a
colors.
Nice bait.
The line through, the whole deal.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get like into the nitty gritty, but my show winner, best of show, my winner, number 1, get ready, is the Tungsten EVO chatterbait from Z-Man.
No.
Hands down.
No doubt.
Unbelievable. I threw this thing in the lake. I stood there for 30 freaking minutes fishing this thing. I was yo-yoing it. I was burning it. I was slow rolling it. I was riding it high in the water column. The thump is incredible. You can take a 3/8 ounce and burn it back. Mine was on braid, the one I was fishing. You could burn it back and it will not rise. It will not rise.
It'll come out of the water.
Awesome. $15.99.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, get your money ready because I got tractor trailer loads coming in. I'm serious. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, that was awesome. They made a forward-facing system too, head and a body.
It's called the Graph Shed.
Yeah, as they do.
Badass.
Everything. But it's kind of cool. The head, the tail,
line through.
Yeah, and how the line goes through it. And when you jig that thing, it gives an actual roll in the body. So it's a line through that you tie on the bottom. It's really, really ingenious.
It is.
And gives you a real nice flap and roll on it. I thought that was a really cool product.
Well, their product designer, Jose, is like next level.
I don't know how they think this stuff up.
He's next level.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. A whole Z-Man setup, all their panfish stuff that it came out with too was pretty cool.
I got news for you. None of them baits, none of them rods, none of them reels, none of them big fancy steak dinners, none of them Padron cigars we smoked. None of that stuff all pales in comparison to what I'm going to break down next. I'm talking about the ICAST Cup. I'm talking about the ICAST Cup the day before the ICAST show. Tournament benefiting good causes. And a lot of the manufacturers, showboating. Mike and I have fished it before. It's quite the event. Put on by MLF. All previous ICAST Cups pale in comparison. All competitors of the ICAST Cups pale in comparison. All ICAST shows pale in comparison. Power Pole fished the ICAST Cup out of a 42-foot Freeman with quad 400s and a 9.5-foot shaft Power Pole trolling motor on Kissimmee chain. They had to scout out the way to get to the marina because of tearing down power lines. So they did a pre-trip. They had to figure out how to launch a 42-foot Freeman on a bass boat ramp and whether or not it would fit out of the entrance of the marina. And then they fished out of a 42-foot Freeman with quad 400s. Right?
Yeah.
With a 9.5-foot shaft trolling motor.
Yeah.
In the middle of the Kissimmee Lake.
Yeah.
And caught a limit.
They put it up on pad when they come out of when they called their number. They put it up on pad and cracked those 400s wide open, and they passed seven fully blowed out bass boats.
They went past them like nothing, bro.
Like they were setting still.
They had a 42-foot Freeman on Kissimmee chain,
and they go fishing, and they come in with a nice bag. I mean, like they
had 11 pounds.
Yeah, you're allowed 3 fish, and they had 11 pounds and 3 fish. It was respectable. I think they were 6th place overall.
Yeah. They were throwing rattle traps.
Yep.
On an offshore grass bed.
Yeah. It's funny, man.
I mean, I'm just telling you right now.
I don't even know how the thing got up on plane. That whole lake's about 4 foot deep.
Well, they may not have made some bottom contact, but I'm going to tell you right now. And the boat was wrapped in power pole.
What a great publicity.
It was the power pole sticker was 11 feet long.
What a great publicity stunt they did there. And kudos for them for thinking that up and
outstanding.
And that was just a great.
We were over checking out the trolling motors, and that they now have their saltwater motors with a 9.5-foot shaft.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the guy's name we were talking to there, but one of our guys, Skeeter Steve here, was interested in the move and the power pole move trolling motor. And so we broke it down for him, and that guy really, really broke it down for us. So we really know all the ins and outs of that trolling motor now. And it's
a bad to the bone trolling motor.
It is. It's a badass trolling motor.
It's a bad to the bone trolling motor. It really is.
They built it right too. They built it like power poles. They built it tough. They built it to withstand a lot of abuse. They thought out all kinds of stuff, rough riding, water, grass, all the problems that you have with picking up grass and holding grass and chopping through grass and then hitting rocks and stumps and shafts, and they just thought it all out.
It's killer.
It is a badass trolling motor.
It's killer. The other thing that was the overwhelming theme at the show was all of the forward-facing sonar specific tackle. Now, we all know that most of this tackle is multi-purpose.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's geared towards that market. But what I'm digging is all the jig heads.
Yeah.
Now, you can't see them on our website yet, but they'll be up in the next couple of days. But we got all the Horizon heads in from Gamakatsu, which we'll break down for you next week. Of course, we've been selling the hell out of the Owner range rollers, and there's just so many of them. You go back in our jig head department, and it's now about 25% driven by forward-facing sonar, maybe more. And we have a hell of a jig head department. So
yeah, and you can
that
use
was
them,
interesting.
And you can use them for other things, like George said. They're just great rigging heads.
Of course,
all different types of rigging. But rods, I mean, they have the different rods that came out. Shimano with the new Zodius rod models, and then the Poison Adrena rod model.
I don't think there's new. Is there a forward-facing sonar rod on that?
In the Poison Adrena?
Yeah. Spinning.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 spinning rods.
I think it's a solid tip rod.
Solid tip spinning rods. And then Daiwa with the PX BFS rod.
Which is here now.
That's not really a forward-facing thing.
No, but the PX BFS rod is here.
We'll break that down.
So that was cool. We got to see the new St. Croix Black Bass Series rods. Which kind of really refreshing, lineup of rods for them. I think everybody's going to love them. We're going to put a bunch of those in.
Agreed.
And, it's just a fun show. It was, I don't know. It just was really fun. It went fast. We were busy the whole time, which I like. I like the busyness of it. Nick and I got around, shot a bunch of videos, which I'm sure you guys are watching on all of our social media platforms. So
also we got home at a reasonable time considering the state of emergency with travel.
Yeah, we pull up to the show. George and I and Nick and GDP was hanging with us, and we walk up into the show, and right away, everybody saying, "Oh my gosh, the airports are closed down, and flights, and the computer, it's done." And people texting us, "Oh man, we got a 2-hour delay going through security, and it's the end of the world." So George and I, we're all like, "What the heck are we going to do?" So we decided to leave 2 hours early to the airport,
which turned out to be a really bad idea.
Yeah, but we didn't. I mean, from what the intel we had was it was the end of the earth. So we decide we're going to go to the airport 2 hours early to get through the security, so we don't miss our flight. And
which we've done before.
Yeah, which we've done before. So not only was it the hour and a half we like to be there anyway, plus 2 hours on top of that. So we're 3.5 hours early to the airport. We walk in the airport. And we're looking around like, where the hell's everybody at? And we walk right through security, right through the check station there, right through there. 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
6 minutes. An hour at the airport, and we got to kill 3.5 hours.
Well, we fortunately, being the world travelers that we are, we have stations at each airport that we fly in and out of, and they actually tore down our spot.
Yeah, they did.
They tore down our spot in Orlando.
Yep.
But they built us a much better. They built us a Taj Mahal spot.
Beautiful spot.
And
we got lunch.
We spent some time there.
We got lunch.
Yeah, we did.
Had a couple of cervezas and
got us prepped for the Screaming Disney Children Festival that was our flight home. But anyways. We don't want to bore you guys anymore with that.
Yep.
ICAST is in the books. We are now in full on 25 mode. And I got to tell you, the warehouse is full.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be putting up new product probably until Bass Fest.
Yeah.
We have, a big Strike King coming, big Z-Man coming, a lot more from Daiwa, a lot more from Shimano, a lot more from St. Croix, GSM, which is an umbrella of companies, which is Bill Lewis, Big Bite Baits, Yamamoto, Buckeye, Buka, and multiple rod companies. That will be a big deal going on here. We're actually some of these things we're breaking down due to ship dates, where we're going to do like mini orders just to get like the earliest stuff in. Because, some of it's not until November, December, October, January.
I think that's an important point to point out, that a lot of this stuff, is starting to trickle in now, but there's a ton of stuff that's September, October, November. So you be patient. We're on the list.
We're going to load it on the website. We're going to send you out emails. We're going to try to keep you in the loop. We know a lot of you are excited about this. We get tons and tons of questions daily.
When's it coming in? When's it going to be here?
And guess what?
It's
all coming, guys.
We got it coming for you.
Get ready.
Yep.
Start saving up that allowance.
And the other thing, one last thing on this ICAST, George and I had great meetings with all of our guys about two things. Our shows, Bass Fest, and Smallmouth Saturday, and
Cabin
Fever. We had great meetings with our manufacturers about getting some good speakers in, great speakers in. Again, everybody's behind us 150%.
Oh, we're going to blow the lid off again this year.
Yeah, they're really pumped up about that. And the other thing with Shimano, had a great meeting with them about SummerSlam tournament, and they absolutely are doubling down. We're going in. We're going to have bigger payouts.
200 boats.
Trying to get 200 boats. We're going to have much bigger payouts for next year.
Which is saying something.
It is saying something, because we paid out $12,000 this year, and next year we're going to make it bigger. So
1 million.
Why not? But
you heard it here first.
Yeah, that's
$1 million.
That's the big thing about
place.
that show is we set all this stuff up for you guys. We worked our butts off. We got all this good preliminary work for another great year next year. We're really excited about all the shows again coming up, and we're pumped about the whole year. We're pumped about the tackle. We're pumped about everything.
But guess what?
I hope you are too.
This year is not over.
No.
This year we got a half a year left, and we're going to be bringing the heat.
Mm-hmm.
We're fishing. We got all kinds of fishing trips lined up. We're going to be bringing back tips and techniques, and it's on like Donkey Kong. So
absolutely. Stay tuned.
Until next week, Mike.
Till next week, we'll see all you guys again at Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down, oh, and I am blue, you make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair and your beautiful smile. Your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait, it's not a funny game. You know just what I feel.